There's a different feeling you get when you're listening to music on streaming services versus on a CD or a vinyl. For me, listening to music on CD or vinyl has always felt like I'm sitting back in a reclining chair with my popcorn and obscenely large soda, getting ready to watch a movie. They do cost about the same. Listening to music on streaming services for me kind of feels like I'm scrolling TikTok at 3 a.m. I'm watching that same movie, but it's filtered, it's in 60 different parts. My neck really hurts, but I refuse to turn away from the wall that the charger's plugged into, and overall, just a worse experience. And don't get me wrong, I love watching Breaking Bad through TikTok clips, even though I've never seen that show and I have no context as to what's happening. But that's not always how I want to be entertained. Today I'm gonna go through some of the issues I have with streaming and some of the reasons I love physical media formats. A few disclaimers though before the video starts. I mainly listen to music on streaming services. This isn't me trying to be like an elitist music nerd and coming on here and telling you how to listen to music. I just kind of wanted to complain a little bit. Also, I'm gonna try my best to not go into things that other videos on this subject have gone into. I don't think you need me to tell you that musicians don't get paid that much on streaming services. They don't. With that being said, here are a couple reasonable and small nitpicks that I have with streaming services. The first problem I have with streaming services is they feel very overwhelming to me. The big selling point of streaming services is that there's kind of like an infinite amount of things that you can choose from, which you'd think would give you just a lot of assurance in that there's no wrong answer. But for me, for some reason, it stresses me out a lot. It makes me think, okay, you have all of these choices, literally any song in the world you could possibly want to listen to. Don't pick the wrong one. When I'm listening to music on streaming services, I'll be scrolling and then I'll finally choose a song. I'll listen to it for like 30 seconds and then I'll be like, this isn't perfect enough. And I'll switch it to another album and I'll put that on for a couple of songs and I'll try and get it out of my mind. But something will come crawling back in and tell me like, this could be better. This is not the album you want to listen to right now. And I just do that over and over and over again. I'm sure that wouldn't be a problem for someone who is super chill, cool, and decisive, but I am not super chill, cool, or decisive. When I listen to music on CD or vinyl, it's not as stressful because there's a lot less choices to choose from. And also I'm kind of locked into whatever choice I made. And so it kind of takes away a lot of the pressure to get it perfect every time. I don't really want to get up and change the record that I just put on or like change the CD in the car while I'm driving. I'd rather it just keep playing and I don't have to think about it. Even as I was writing this script, I knew I had to put on a very long album that would make me not choose to change it. So I put on One Wayne G. Hello. I put on One Wayne G from Mac DeMarco, because I knew that I just wouldn't think about it again after I put that on. Sure, it took me like 5 minutes to set up my Blu-ray player and put on the Blu-ray version of it that I have. This is not a perfect science. Actually, speaking of that, sometimes it's very fulfilling to go through the motions of starting a record or putting on a CD. I feel like the time in between when you choose what you want to play and when it actually starts playing builds a lot of anticipation and kind of makes the moment feel more special and like, oh yeah, this is what I wanted to put on. And there it is right in front of my face, taking up space in the world. Like, that's cool. This is what I wanted. Again, I don't always want that though. Sometimes, just like the analogy, I want to just be sitting there, not thinking about it, kind of scrolling along or clicking around. But for the moments that I do want to be listening to music more intentionally, I feel like those steps kind of add to it for me. Another issue I have with streaming services is there's not a lot of context that you get when you're listening to an album. Spotify is kind of starting to counter this. They have like the canvas that plays in the background of some songs. And sometimes there's like a little like Instagram story equivalent at the top of the album. But let me show you what I mean by looking at the album Punisher from Phoebe Bridgers. The vinyl for this is a gatefold, meaning you get to see more artwork for the album on the back and on the inside. The track listing is laid out following the shape of the mountain. Immediately when you open the gatefold, you can see the words For Max, dedicating the album to Phoebe's dog Max, who had passed away in 2019. This album also comes with a very large lyric booklet. A lot of albums will sometimes include lyrics on the sleeves for the record, but sometimes a record will have a full lyric booklet like this. Open it and you'll find every song on the album is paired with beautiful artwork and stylized lyrics to help contextualize the song in different ways. Like when the song The End Is Near grows in chaos, approaching the finale, the lyrics mirror this by trailing off and losing structure as well. One of my favorite parts of looking at stuff like this is artists will sometimes include jokes or like Easter eggs in the lyrics or credits of their albums. For example, in this lyric booklet for Punisher, the words "see our reflection in the water" are upside down to match the reflection in the line. Or, as you can see in the lyrics of this 1975 album, they include a winky face to call out the play on words happening in the line. Okay, now let's take a look at the streaming services.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
The track list is there, but it loses its styling, and there's no area to include information on the album, so you lose the dedication that the album includes, or any of the jokes that are mentioned in the lyrics. There's visuals for some of the songs, but not all of them, and you don't see any of the artwork that was in the lyric booklet. None of these things really need to be there to listen to the album, but they definitely enhance the experience if they are there. They add a connection to the album that you're listening to, and kind of a connection to the artist in a way. Even the credits can be really fun to go through on these. Some artists will even include every instrument that was used in the song, which can be really fun if you're an artist yourself and you're trying to go through and kind of see how they did everything. And if you're paying attention to the credits in the songs, you'll often find people that you'll recognize from other albums that have nothing to do with the one that you're looking at. For example, the mastering engineer on Punisher is Bob Ludwig, as you can see here. Once I noticed that, I began to notice that he's also the mastering engineer for the Yellow Magic Orchestra remasters that I have. I bought this other CD because it has one of the outro songs to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure on it, and would you look at that? There he is again. All of a sudden, I go to put on Radiohead's A Moon-Shaped Pool, and I notice it was mastered by a Robert C. Ludwig. That's Bob Ludwig. Now all of these wildly different projects have this weird connecting thread that just kind of adds a lot of excitement to the music. It makes me think like, how do these people all know each other? How do they get in contact? What other albums are kind of connected in this same way that I just don't know about yet? It just opens you up to be able to appreciate these albums in a new light, just a different way that you haven't been able to before. But Josh, I hear you saying, rather rudely, might I add, you can find all of this information online. That's true, but I don't really do that. I'm not gonna be thinking to look all of this information up if I'm just listening to it on Spotify, but if it's all together in this one package, I almost can't help but think about it. I'm holding this giant thing in my hand as I'm listening to the album, and it's hard not to just start picking it apart while you're listening. Everything that's included, the lyrics, the jokes, the credits, it all kind of like builds this bigger picture for the album than you would have had if none of that was there in the first place. Hey, remember earlier when I said there was an infinite amount of songs to choose from on these streaming services? I lied. They don't have everything. A great example of this is the city pop king-sized elephant in the room, Tatsuro Yamashita. I hesitate to even say his name because his team might find this video and take it down too. He's an extremely popular artist in Japan, and a lot of his music has started becoming more popular in the West thanks to the YouTube algorithm. Albums like For You and Right on Time are monumental city pop landmarks. Even Tyler, the Creator, interpolated one of Tatsuro Yamashita's songs on Igor. I'm not going to play it here. Again, he might take it down. But look up the song Fragile from Tatsuro Yamashita and you'll hear it. If you go to find him on streaming services, you'll be able to see a couple of the contributions he made to the album Pacific, and that's it. But Josh, you say, interrupting again, can't you normally find all of these albums on YouTube in full? You'd normally be right, but there's a catch to this, artist. They always get taken down. There are other albums that aren't on streaming services that are on YouTube that are totally fine and don't get taken down. But for some reason, and I don't know if it's him or his team, they do not want this music online. People upload the album in full, it stays up for about a month, and then it gets taken down by his team, and then this goes on repeat. People just make new YouTube accounts re-uploading his albums, which means the feelings of joy that I experienced when I finally got my hands on this, it's a high I will never reach again. Nobody, not even Tatsuro Yamashita, can take away the song Right on Time again. I can listen to it forever. That was kind of a specific example, but there are other instances of artists changing or removing their work after it's been released. Again, people have talked about this in other videos, so I won't go into it too much, but think of like Taylor Swift taking out the line, "Hey kids, spelling is fun." I'm not saying it's wrong for artists to do stuff like this. It's just to help prove the point that streaming services are not infinite and they are not permanent. All right, these last two problems are more of a skill issue on my part, but we're gonna talk about them anyways. I have the attention span of a walnut. When I'm scrolling through Spotify trying to choose music, it's just as likely that the pressure will get to my head and all of a sudden I'll be scrolling TikToks. And it's like, how did I get here? I think part of the reason this happens so frequently is that the music stops when I open another app. And if I'm listening to music on like a CD player, it's not gonna stop if I open TikTok. And very quickly, it's going to be overwhelming and I'm going to realize, oh, that's right, I don't wanna be scrolling TikTok right now. I wanted to listen to this album. My final point, I've changed my mind. This is not a skill issue, I hate this. When I'm using Spotify, I download the songs onto my phone so that I can listen to them if there's no service. But if I'm in a scenario where there's no service, Spotify will still try and listen to the song from the internet first. So I will be sitting on a screen of songs that I've downloaded and I'm clicking songs and they're not playing because I have no service and Spotify is trying to connect to listen to it that way. I don't want to listen to it that way. It's on my phone. Play the song from my phone. I'm holding a phone. Did you get that? Okay. Anyways, I think it's only fair that I go through some of the issues that physical media has as well. For starters, I don't yet have a way to listen to Million Dollar Baby, and for some reason it seems like I need to be listening to that song at least 5 times a day. So that is a point against physical media. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please make sure to Venmo me $0.003. I think that's fair compensation for the effort I put into this. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. I've been putting out a lot of random things lately, a lot of fun songs. I put out an instrumental song the other day. Before that, I put out a collaboration with Gabby Bell. Go listen to that if you have not listened to it yet. Okay, TTYL XOX.